My name is Christy Busby, and you are about to listen to the next episode of my podcast called F.A.T.E, From Atheism to Enlightenment. So come on in, join me. We're going to talk about it all, from atheism to enlightenment. Alrighty, guys, here we go. Get ready, and welcome to your F.A.T.E. Welcome, everyone, to the next episode of F.A.T.E. How's everybody doing out there? On today's show, I have returning guest Marzcia Techau. We are here to talk about growing up gifted. She is a healer. She has the ability to perceive beyond the normal human being out there. It's fascinating to me. I'm super excited to hear her journey. Marzcia, welcome to your F.A.T.E, my friend. Welcome back. How you doing?
I'm doing very well, and thank you very much for having me back. It's so nice. Really lovely to be back.
I am very honored you're taking the time. You're in Berlin right now promoting your latest book. So thank you for taking the time out of, I'm sure, busy schedule and talking to me about growing up gifted. I talk to a lot of healers and mediums and psychics on this show, and it is always fascinating to me that there are people here that have the ability to lift the veil, to see beyond things and sense things that I have never been able to sense, and most people can't. So why don't we start with talking a little bit about who you are now and what you're doing with your life, and then we'll get into how you came about learning to live with being gifted.
Um, Today, I'm a biologist. I'm a psychic medium, healer, spiritual teacher, and I'm really happy to combine both of my sides. The biology has a very big place in my heart, and the research part, how to investigate and find out of different things and see how things are connected. And that connected with the spiritual path is a very gifted way, or I feel it's a gift for me to have that combination. So I really love to, what can I say? For me, it's more like I'm at a service. I'm a service for the spirit world, to do healing work, to help people to be enlightened or grow or connect with their soul and get the best out of their life. And I know when the soul connects to the earth will benefit from the connection with the divine soul. So every time we do a healing work, we are actually also giving life energy and divine energy to Mother Earth and our surroundings. So that's what I really like to do, and that what's much of my time is going to do. I use that ability all the time.
It feels like you are here. Your sole purpose is to help enlighten others, to heal others. You are, I would consider you a light worker. Wouldn't you consider yourself out there raising the vibration, helping others to illuminate us to who we are, healing people? And to me, that says light worker. I don't know.
It is. I see it as a I see it as a service, as a light worker.
Yeah.
So I see, like many other people are light workers, and animals, a lot of other beings around, both in this dimension and other dimensions, are light workers. And the world really needs that right now.
Yes.
So,
yes. One of the things that I love about your particular path as a light worker here is the science side of your brain. And it just for me personally lends so much more credibility to what you do, because your roots are grounded in mainstream science, and you grew up under mainstream education of biological sciences, using the scientific method, doing your research based on things that are very much accepted in mainstream life. And then you have this other part of you that is much more spiritual based and much more energy based. And um, can you talk a little bit about how you married the two of those in your own brain? Because they seem incompatible for a lot of people.
Yeah, it's for me. It's more like I always been fascinated about life. So, what is life, and who are we in life, and how can life occur? It's so fascinating. And are we the only life in the universe, or are there more lives? And is this only the only dimension, or the other dimension? So it's like this feeling of investigating and looking, and not be judging, but being open. And for me, nature science sometimes has the problem in really investigating the spiritual matters, or the divine, or the basic of life. So in my investigation, it was clearly that my system were drawn into the divine as well. How does it work? How can healing work? And why does it work? And when I start to work as a healer, it was before I started to take my biology degree. So I had the spiritual path before I started biology. And in that way, my interest in what happens when I work with the spiritual world was there before I started as a biologist. And then, of course, my master degree, I had a research where I investigated healing. So I had healers come and heal plants, and I was, and that, of course, I was not the healer in that research. And I had my professor that was my supervisor. He had a clear, he knew which parts of which plants were healed and which were not. So I didn't know. It was a blinded, totally blinded research for me. So in that way, the study was very interesting, because I combined the healing and the research part. And it was so nice to work with that. And later on, I worked in the university as a researcher on the effects of rehabilitation, of where you used healing as rehabilitation for colon cancer patients. So in that way, it was just, yeah, it's,
So let's go back to when you were growing up in Denmark. Yes, you grew up in
yes,
Denmark.
yeah.
Let's talk about how you figured out that you were different, that you had gifts. Like, when did you start? What are your gifts? What are your gifts?
Yeah.
And when did you start realizing you had them?
Um, as a kid, I was very I was highly sensitive, and in that way, I was very overwhelmed by kids and human grown-ups, and in that way, I didn't see it as a psychic ability at all. I just went to the animals where I felt secure, and where it was much easier to be connected with animals. It's so much easier. So in that way, I wasn't thinking about myself as different because of my abilities to sense the spirit world or sense other people strongly. I was just overwhelmed. So it was first when I was around 18 years old, when I went to Iceland and had some warning dreams about a sheep that I had back home that was going to die. And I didn't know that she was going to die, and she was totally healthy when I was leaving her. So it was first when I was in the late teens that I actually found out that something was not totally normal. Normally, I wasn't feeling like I was belonging to the normal kids. So because I was highly sensitive, I was still, I didn't really work with the other ones very good. So I didn't think at it as I had psychic abilities, just that I was really sensitive and overwhelmed, and that I was, feeling other people very clearly. And when people were saying, I'm doing all right and very good, and I could sense they were not, I was confused. And that's the normal problem when you are talking to kids that have this sense. I would say most kids today actually have a really high sensitivity, so they can actually quite clearly sense when you are not, when what you are saying is not how you're feeling.
Mm-hmm.
And I have that. That's one of my really strong gifts. And of course, that was very disturbing as a kid. But I didn't see it as a psychic ability before I started to train my psychic ability in my late 20s. So it was actually very much disturbing, overwhelming, and I didn't feel that I belonged to the normal, the normal population
Yeah.
of Earth. Uh, so it was. I was very much fond of animals and nature, but nothing much else.
When did you start speaking that you understanding that you had gifts? Did you ever speak to your parents about, like, look, I feel other people's energy. I am intuitive about this, or when how did this start developing really for you? And you had said in before a comment that I can remember, just plucked it out of my brain right now. The first time we talked, something about you being able to see um spirits or dead people or something when
Yeah,
you were young and not
yeah.
understanding that. So, like, what was that all about as well?
I the thing is that when I was very much connected to nature, and I sensed the presence of nature, and also it was like I felt more that I belonged with elves and small fairies, and it's like it was like somehow I belonged there. So when I was in nature, it was just like there was a whole world around me, but I didn't really find it was the real world. I just thought it was some kind of, you know,
Magical. Yeah.
imagination, while fairy tales was much better to be in than the real life. But after I trained my skills, I definitely sensed them very clearly. And at that time, as a kid, it was as a youngster, it was much more like a feeling of belonging in nature, in the forest, and with animals. It's like everything were connected when I was there, and I was a part of it. But when I was in school or in my family, I didn't really feel connected the same way as I did when I was in nature with them. So in that way, it was another thing of, it was another kind of being where I was thriving. It was not like a human being.
Have you ever had any past life regressions or any hypnosis with that? Do you know about any of your prior lives, or prior, maybe you had lives not on this plane, as far as like maybe you're from a different planet, or maybe you have lineage in the elf, fairy,
I
gnome,
definitely,
nature spirit world, you
yeah,
know?
yeah. I have been, because I work as a past, a karmic healer where we work with past lives. I have been in contact with many of my past lives, and in the start, again, in my late teens, I had those two dreams where I dreamed about the death of some two of my animals, the sheep and the horse, when I was 18 and 19 years old, and it was like really clear for me that something really intense different was there. I had to somehow deep in myself accept that that ability was there. And one path of my development was actually to get a regression. So I went to a healer, and she was helping me back in past lives. But after just one time when she did that, I started to go back to past life myself in dreams, or certainly I just somehow shifted from this life to another life. And the past life, working with that has been one of the first really big transformation experiences for me in developing my skills, because in past lives I have been working with these skills, and also in past life I have got trauma that made it difficult for me to access my skills. So I have to start to work with my blockage or trauma when having those skills. Or one of the first really intense past lives that I was in contact with was that I was a nun, and this nun had been pregnant to a man walking around singing like a troubadour, and he was off, and she had a kid, and it was not really good. The family wasn't very happy, and the monastery wasn't really happy, and the kid was taken away from her, and I woke up with the feeling of being hanged. She hanged herself like a suicide. And she was really like closing down her contact to God, and also her trust in family and in love, and just have this big sadness. So one of the first things that I really had to do was that I had this feeling of waking up with that, and I couldn't speak. It was like I had nearly no access to my throat. I
Your
couldn't
vocal
talk.
cords, yeah.
Yeah, it was gone. And at that time, everything was really turned up and down for me. So it's like I was living shortly with my parents because I couldn't afford to be. I had a house and I had to rent it out and move into my parents' house and everything like that. And one of some I knew had given me this form to a psychic school. And I was like, I should not be on a psychic school. Why should I be on a psychic school? And when I had this dream, I was lying there and I was like, okay, I just apply for this psychic school.
Yes, yes.
And so I worked with that life that's just opened up a little. As in many years, I still had problems with God, or with God as the divine thing. But it's like when you have been working, this nun was really like devoted to prayer and devoted to being connected with love and God and plants and healing. And everything of that was just taken away from her. So I had to somehow find my healing process to access this contact with the divine and God again. And today I more talk about it as the presence of God than God as in the Bible, more like the presence of God, because that still feels much better for me. So some of the past lives has definitely been working really closely together with the divine or the presence of God. And also another past life I had where it was clearly it has been very easy for me to develop the teaching skills, teaching people healing or clairvoyance or um, some different kinds of working with their abilities and the spiritual development and personal development. It's like from the start, very early in my development as a healer and a psychic medium or spiritual medium, the teaching part started to come. And I was really thinking, why could I was young there. At that time, I was around just 32, 33, 4 when I started to teach. And I was teaching people that was much older than me, because, old ladies around for me also. 50, that's me, my age now. 50 years old ladies and 60 years old lady. And I was like, I'm just a kid.
Right.
But the thing was, I went into a past life investigating where I had I was a woman that was teaching people psychic abilities in a forest.
Oh.
And I really clearly sensed the resources and the knowledge from my soul in the teaching part. And in that way, I understood that my soul had a lot of experiences, a lot of capacities, a lot of abilities. So to be together with my soul also meant or mean that I have access to those previous experiences and knowledge. So I have used this access to my past life to get access to the capacity of my soul to integrate it in my life today and to fulfill or develop and expand and involve my soul today because it's a part of my path somehow,
Yeah, yeah.
like it's in everybody else's. We all of us has a lot of capacities within our soul that we have from past lives experiences. It's not trauma, all of it. It's also a lot of good, and
Yeah.
all the good things you have, you can use and you can access that. It's up to you to use it this in this life.
Yeah, I feel like everybody should get at least one past life regression to from from doing this show and speaking to hypnotherapists and just learning what I've learned. It feels like our past lives are so much more connected to who we are today than you would ever think.
Yes,
And
really, it is.
there is a through line there with each iteration of our existence, and that somehow you're picking up where you left off in a very strange way, that
Yeah,
that people would be able to understand their trajectory and their life paths much better if they understood who they were in other incarnations here,
right.
and what they're supposed to learn and who they're supposed to be, what their sole purpose is. I'm actually um, going to get a past life regression, my first one,
Mhm.
next month.
Oh,
So
congratulations.
um, I'm very excited to learn to maybe understand what my life is today better, especially since I'm
Yeah,
feeling a little bit lost in my own path and my own journey. I just feel like, a past life regression can really just illuminate you to really to who you are,
yeah,
and who your what your journey is.
yes.
Um, let's go into talking about your ability to speak to the other side. You have said that you can speak to spirits, um, other realms, dimensions. How do you do that? Tell us,
How do
walk
you
us
do
through
that?
the
Yeah.
process of how you're in touch with somebody that's passed over, or maybe an angel, or a
Mm,
higher dimensional being, or what do you even
yeah.
call them? What is your personal belief system? Everybody seems to have a little bit of different take on it.
Yeah, it's for there was many questions in one question there.
Yes, yes,
I
it
tried
is.
to.
I tend to do that. Yeah, I'll blast out
That's
like
good.
three different questions.
I will try to do my best. Okay, so the thing is that I'm clear empathy. I'm very much into the emotions, so I feel the emotions from others, and I also feel the physical tensions they have and the physical uh, state they are in. So when you are on the other side, you don't have a physical body, but you have still your emotions, your thoughts, your belief systems, or your consciousness, and that's one of my most primary, I would say, primary ability. That's actually to sense consciousness and emotions. And when you're on the other side, you don't have the physical body, but you have all the other stuff. And that's what I sense in the living. So for me, just to sense the dead ones are just, you know,
The same.
yeah, it's the same. So it's like if it's a dead one or it's a live one, I don't sense them differently. I just know that my sensory system is connected to the dimension where the dead ones are. And when I'm sensing the living, I know my sensory system is connected to the living. And if I sense an angel, I connect it to the dimension with the angels, but I do it totally the same way. There's no difference there. I use my sensory system to feel, is it a happy person, sad person? Is it peaceful? Is it strong? Is it clarity? Is there a lot of happiness or creativity? Or I sense all those different small changes in who you really are. You are. We all of us are not. None of us are the same. We are different. There are small differences that makes you to you and not to another person. And that's the same with the other side. So I just use my sensory system in the totally same way as I do with the living. But of course, it's a bit more extraordinary in that way that I normally sense things very intense.
So, do you use your scientific background to check your I don't I wouldn't say check your work, but check your what your interpretations of what you're feeling? How do you, I guess for lack of a better something more direct to say, how do you know that you're feeling something else, or how can you confirm that the information you're getting is accurate or true, or how do you use your science background to confirm this is what is really happening for you, that you're speaking to somebody, a soul, an entity, an angel on the other side, and you can
Yeah,
get confirmation in some way? Do you
yeah.
do you get confirmation?
Oh, yeah, I do get confirmation in different way, but sometimes you're also um, just knowing. Sometimes it's just like I have been training to sense the archangel Michael when he arrives in my energy field. I sense him in that way, and when Gabriel arrives in my energy field, and I can sense the archangel Gabriel, I know how that feels because we have been working together so much. So it's like it's also a knowing, a recognition of our old friends. How do you do that? It's like you don't even need to see your old friend. You can sense your old friend is there, and it's the same way. So when I work, I also try to learn to recognize the ones that are working through me because the angels are working through me. I'm not an angel. I'm just, a healer, a channel that holds the space for the spirit world to work with my client, or for the spirit world to teach my students. Of course, I'm the one talking, but actually, it's the spirit world that I'm listening to, what to say and what to do. They create a healing space for my students. So in that way, it's a really a strong cooperation between the spirit world and the physical realm. And I'm just a channel for that. So you ask for confirmation. So earlier in my life, I was a spiritual medium in a TV show in Denmark called When the Spirit Returns. So it was like earthbound spirits that hadn't really passed. Then they had some mediums to go out there and have contact with the spirit and help the family that was had problems, negative experiences, or were afraid, or something like that. So I didn't know what I was coming out to, and I was just taking contact with the spirit and releasing the spirit, healing the family. And sometimes there was, of course, often there is also loved ones from the other side that has passed and is in light, and they're trying to help the family. So I was also talking to those, and in that way, when I was doing that, all was recorded. Then the TV crew were investigating a lot. So I was just doing a day's work. They were recording, and after that, they had researchers to find out if the facts that I was coming with actually was facts. And that was really, really interesting for me because they went back to check names and places and histories about the dead one and about the place I was working in. Uh, and and then they went back, I think maybe 2 or 3 weeks after, to talk to the people that I was helping and hear how they have felt and if there was any changes. And they felt the changes and they were happy and they didn't have disturbance and they didn't fight anymore and stuff like that because earthbound souls can disturb the family and try to split families because they need energy, negative energy or energy to survive. They don't have a physical body anymore. They affect the surroundings the same way they would have if they were living. They don't really know that they are dead. And they, if you like to dominate other people and you get energy by that, you will do that when you're dead as well. So, so in that, so in that way, when that show actually made a lot of confirms what the facts were, and I find that was really interesting. But normally it would be my clients that would say it will give sense. I know this lady, or I know this dead man, or it's a part of that. I don't investigate that much because it should make sense for my client. So it's actually my client that says, okay, that makes sense. And if it doesn't really make sense at the session, they often come back later and say, actually it makes sense. It was just blah, blah, blah. I forgot or something like that. So, so in that way, I think the proof comes with the job.
Yeah. I guess the proof comes from when you're speaking to somebody, whether they A, get their healing, B, get confirmation of what you're saying to them is true.
Yeah.
Now, when you say you talk to people on the other side, do you hear the actual voices, or do you feel the energy and you interpret the energy you're feeling, or do you actually get channeled messages? Because I talk to channels on this show that actually get like really profound, wise teachings or information from different realms. It's almost like
Mm.
they're allowing somebody else to speak through them. Do you get that kind? Is that the same for you, or how does it present for you?
Sometimes I hear sentences, like I hear a voice, because the voice could be something that the dialect and the way the words are saying could be a way to recognize the deceased person. So if I say something in a different way, I find out, okay, this one is from the southern part of Denmark, or this one is from. So in that way, I use my clear hearing for that. But mostly I use this clear sensing within my own body and the emotions. And from that, when you sense a feeling, it could also come up and be some kind of picture. So I also see pictures, but the pictures is also connected with my emotions. And I use my intuition. It's not like I'm interpret as like, what is this with my brain? When I work, my brain is not really working. It shouldn't be working because it's disturbing somehow. But it's more like my intuition, or I ask the spirit world, what are your intention right now? Why not intuition? What are your intention right now to give me this? So I always go back to communicate, but it could be emotions, it could be feeling in my bodies, it could be something I see, it could be something I hear, it could be something like a clear knowing. It could be so many different ways. So I use so many of my senses as possible, because the more the senses working together, the more precise I can be. So it's not only one thing. They give it to me, so it's like, okay, it's grandma. So maybe I have the feeling of a grandma, but I also sense the smell of the favorite cookies she's making. So I also use the smell of the baking. It's some kind of cookie. It could also be, oh, I hear the dog, so there is also a dog. Would there be a dog connected? So in that way, everything is connected, and they're giving me those information in different ways to be more precise.
Yeah.
Instead of only one way, they give it a lot of different information. So in that way, it just happened. And when I teach, it's more like I'm connected and I just open my mouth and I do what I have to do. But I say things that I don't even know I'm saying.
Would
So
you
that's
do you think you're in a little bit of a trance mode, like your conscious mind shuts off and you go on some sort of like autopilot? Do you feel like that's kind of how you
yeah,
you
it's
kind
more
of go
like
into an
that.
autopilot mode?
it's more like private Marzcia is some kind is in a private Marzcia, and my own stuff is really somehow not a sleep, but a deep hypnotic meditative state. But my sensory system and my senses are really awake. So when I teach, I have a class of 15 or 20 people. I actually sense all of them, and I sense the spirit world, and I sense the spirit world around them. But I have a really, really deep trust that the spirit world will guide me to be with the students in the right way, catch up where I should catch up. And I know that they are somehow having my back and my students' back. So it's when I teach, I only feel like, okay, I'm the physical one standing there, but we are a really big team helping the students. So it's more like each student comes with their team, and there is a student team as well. So I have a team that helps me to help the students, and the students' teams are helping the teaching team. So for me, it's like a healing. I'm a healer, I'm the physical one, but I hold a space for the spirit world to heal my clients. And my clients' readiness is actually what's interesting, because when my client is ready to heal, the healing's there, and they will always try to meet the request and the need of my client. And that's the same with a teaching situation. The spirit world will meet the readiness for my student to develop. And in that, there is also a really respectful way of being with that. So I know I cannot push my students. They have to develop, but I have to support them. And also you say, try this, come on, you can do it. We show them trust. But still, it's so different how people are developing. The readiness you have is also very important for the path and the tempo that you are developing.
When you're out living your normal life, maybe you're going into other people's homes, maybe you're traveling like in Berlin, you're walking into different spaces. Are you constantly aware of the other spiritual energy around you? And if so, how do you handle being able to perceive such things? Like, I feel like spirits are everywhere around us all the time. And if we were to notice that, it would be pretty psychologically like overwhelming.
Yeah. So feel my thing is that because I was so overwhelmed when I was a kid just by the living, the greatest thing I learned in this psychic school when I was in my late 20s was to shut down. Was that I decide when I use my sensory system to sense the spirit world, and that I am living right here now. And it's difficult enough for me just to be a human being. So I use the spirit world, I use my team, I use my guardian angels to help me to be calm and regulate my nervous system. But I do not open up and sense all the spirit around in Berlin, in the streets of Berlin, because that would be intense and that would be too much. And in that way, I know the reason I sense the spirit world is that my sensory system sensing them. So if I pull back my sensory system, I discipline my sensory system not to enter the realm of the dead when I'm not working. And then they cannot sense me because I'm not, there should be two to a tango.
Yeah.
So if I'm not in the tango,
Yeah.
bingo.
Yeah.
And again, because I really have to be aware that I'm only sensing myself and not another living or a dead person. I use a lot of my energy just to be focused on being me.
Yeah.
Instead of sensing everything else. When I work and I'm connected with the spirit world, it's like I am in a lot of good energy, and my students' trauma and what they have it, because I'm just a channel in a teaching system situation, or in a healing situation, or in a clarion setting. The personal me will have less problems there, because I'm in spirit world is love. It's
Yeah.
it's light.
Yeah.
It's healing. It's wanting the best for the ones I'm working with. And my soul is like that. I really, really wish the best for the people around me. So when I'm working, it's more like I can relax because love is working through me. And I really enjoy being in that space with
Yeah.
love, with healing, with a deeper level of understanding, with the divine, with, there is so many spirit that really wants to help people to be the best they can. Yeah, I just love that. Makes such a meaningful way for me to be in life. So I can control my sensory system. So when I'm working, I would be able to have energy and use my sensory system in a way that's good, instead of going around being totally like, yeah.
Well, was it like that when before you had the ability to kind of shut down your sensory system and put a blockade up to kind of barrier yourself into your own? Did you struggle with
I
that
struggle
initially?
so much. Yeah, I struggle so much with it, because when I was a kid, I struggled with it with the humans, and when I grow older, in my late 20s, I started to sense the spirit world very much. And even though I was living out in a house in the forest, I I felt that I was going in the middle of a town, a big city, in the main street, and there was a lot of people there all the time. So I was really like, I could sense dead people touching my system, or energy that was going around me all the time, even though I was out in a very quiet place in the forest. So so in that way, I had to do something. I had to learn how to control it, and I had the two abilities. Maybe I was insane. I should go to the doctor, or I should go to this psychic school. I took the psychic school,
Yeah, you'd
and
made
that
the.
was a good choice.
Yeah, that was the best choice. I mean, the doctors would have just put you up somewhere and, like, put you. Who knows?
Ah, you hear things.
Y-
You sense
Exactly.
things.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's not there. So
Yeah.
it was really disturbing for me. But it was actually when I met my present wife. We were just in the start of our relationship, and I haven't really dared to talk to people really much about how my inner, it
Yeah.
was in my brain, and it was all around. And I was in my house, and she was visiting me, and I think it was only we had met each other for maybe a few days or a week maximum. And then I said, okay, I sensed this man, and I started to describe this man. Uh, and I was like really afraid. Okay, but I just had, because he was so persistent, he wanted to come through, and I was like, okay. Then I just started to describe him. I sensed him, I saw him, and she said, "Oh, that's my mother's dead brother." It's like, okay, he's real. And when she said she could recognize him, and it was real, then everything was like, everything I had built up, all the walls was building up around myself was like, it's not true, it's not true. They were like, and then I was like, okay. Then the dead ones knew, she knows.
Yeah.
Did it, did it. And then it was really much alive. It was like a party, 24 hours a day around me. So I had to do something, and that was why The best thing this teacher I had at the psychic school was she said, okay, we have to learn how to use our abilities, when not to use them, and how we can discipline them. And that was the best thing for me. It was actually to learn that I didn't have to sense other people so much. Even though it was normal for me, I could control it. I could be me. And also, I didn't have to sense the spirit world. I could just be me. And that feeling of just being me was actually is still very important, because when you work with the spirit world, you have to be very clear. Is it the spirit world? Is it your client? Is it you? You have to be able to distinguish between those three. If you can't, it's a mixture of everything and it's difficult. So for me, it's more like when I'm not working, I'm working on being me.
Yeah. You're taking your own power back too. It's
Yes.
probably, being able to stay grounded in your own world, taking your own power back. Um,
Yeah.
when you're working with Spirit Land, do you use have to use a lot of spiritual hygiene around you to make sure that you don't get a spiritual attachment or a negative entity? Because as much as you work with light, you can't have light without dark. There are
Mm.
both out there in the spirit land. So how do you deal with the darker side of things?
The thing is, again, when I'm controlling my sensory system and my senses to be in the physical realm here and connected with the spirit world that helps me, that creates this space where I can relax, and where when I'm afraid, there is also this, is there someone out there that, and then you're already the wrong place. So it's also about regulating the nervous system to be in a calmful inner place in your own light. So that's a part of it. But when I work, I always connect with what I call the pillar of light, which is actually the near death. The tunnel in the near death tunnel. When people
Ah,
have
yeah,
this
yeah.
near death experience, they talk about the tunnel of light.
Everybody
That's
knows what the
all.
tunnel is.
Yeah.
Everybody, yeah,
So
talks about the
so
tunnel.
so that tunnel of light is more like a dimension. So when I work, I connect with that, and I connect with that for myself also. Just when, if I feel a little insecure or I don't feel the energy in the room is okay, so then I connect with the tunnel of light. So I call it the pillar of light, and that's actually not a tunnel. It's more like a dimension. But when you are having these near-death experiences, you actually have this really strong connection with the divine and with the spirit world, because you're a spirit. You're divine. Your soul is divine.
Yeah.
And your soul is actually connected with the divine all the time.
Yeah.
So when you connect with the pillar of light, and you know that it's, it's, you can be with that all the time,
Yeah. It's pure love.
then
Yeah.
yeah, it is. So it's not really about, is there something negative in the spirit world. When you're connected with the pillar of light, I use the pillar of light and my guardian angel to keep me grounded. I'm not going up in the light to my angel, because I'm living in this earth right now, and I'm having a soul experience on earth. So it doesn't mean that I should go away from earth. It means that I actually should be even more connected to earth. So my soul and the life force and divine energy that is within my soul and the capacity my soul has can interact with earth, Mother Earth, the people living there, the animal living there, and that makes a difference. And my soul have a lot of experiences that will enrich it. Then next time I will come back, I will have developed even more.
Speaking of the next time you come back, like, how do you feel about, because you do interact with spirits on the other side that have passed over, and I'm sure you have conversations of sorts. How has that changed the idea of death for you? And how do you feel about death? What is death? What can people expect when they die? Let's talk about, the topic that nobody wants to talk about. We're all going to die.
We're all gonna die.
Spoiler alert, we're all gonna die. You know, none of us are getting out of here alive. We're all
I
gonna
know.
die.
And
So
we also get birth again. So
yeah, I
we are
mean,
coming back and we are
yeah.
going again. Yeah.
I
No.
mean, I would say the biggest gift of my whole spiritual awakening and learning all of this stuff is that I have a completely different take on death. I don't fear it. I used to fear death a lot. Like I used to fear um being like because I was an atheist, I also didn't believe in the heaven hell story.
Mm.
So like I just thought I was like a tree. I would grow up from the earth and then I would die and I would go back to the earth, and like once I died that was it. But
Yeah.
now I understand there's so much more going on that around us, and it's way more magical than you would ever think. So I'm not afraid to die anymore.
Mm.
I know I've been here many times before, and I'll probably come back and learn some more lessons after this,
Yes.
So, what is your take on death, and how do you feel about it?
Um. I I wouldn't say I'm afraid of dying because of the dying, but I could be afraid of dying because of the life that I will miss living. So it's
Mm,
more like when I'm afraid of dying, it's more like, oh, I would experience more, or I should also do that. And did I do enough? And did everything manage? Or did I heal up what I should have? And did I affect the world in the best way I could? And there is a lot of those things that I'm afraid of, and the sadness of leaving loved ones,
yeah,
and that's part of it is still there. But I truly in my heart and my soul believe that I will be connected with everything, even though I'm dead,
yeah,
because I connect with the dead ones all the time, and I connect with the other dimensions all the time. And in that way, many times it's like when people are on the other side, they are more their soul. So much more the love can actually come true, because there is no filters like addiction or trauma. The soul do not have traumas. So in that way, I have seen so much love from the loved ones to the living relatives, and so much healing there in the meeting from the living to the dead and the dead to the living. So in that way, I don't fear death, and I know I will be back. And what I'm not, I'm trying to say to myself, what I'm not doing this life, I will do next life.
yeah,
So I can have a very long to-do list, and it's not healthy to have that. So I'm trying to do it. What I can do this life, I can do, and the rest I will do next life,
yeah,
or the next 3 lives, or 5 lives. So,
yeah,
so in that way, I feel this life we are in right now is so precious. It will not come back. And we have to enjoy it. And we have to do good. Our soul is here to do good,
yeah,
to do better than last time.
yeah, yeah,
We all of us has something that we didn't solve very good last time. And now we are here, we can do it better.
yeah,
And we are here to, from my opinion, it's like we are here to do good.
yeah. Yeah, I also think we're here to grow and expand our own consciousness. I was told by a destiny card reader that this was my last go on the rock. He's like, "This is it for you. This is your last go on the rock." He's like, "That's why you don't have kids. You're not creating any more karma down here, and you're out of here after this life. You're going to ascend." Which I don't know if that's true or not, but it does make sense that I don't have kids, that I'm awakening in this lifetime, that I am starting to understand the nature of who we are, and the many layers. But I do know, even if I don't come back to this rock, that I will exist in some form in
Yes, you will.
another capacity, learning and growing somewhere else.
Mm.
I do want to ask a little bit about when you talk about realms, dimensions. I'm starting to understand, and I believe that we do live in a multi-dimensional reality where your frequency, your vibration Your resonance kind of determines what you're tuning into in a way.
Mm,
And most everything is, when you get down to it, energy, and not even really full on matter once you get down to the nitty
mm.
gritty of what we are. Um, what's your perspective? What's your take on nature, reality, and the multi layeredness of it all? What's your take?
And I have 1 minute.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
that's
know.
good.
And go.
That's, that's perfect. Super. So, um, many times I explained it like we have the deep sea and all, the ocean. We have the deep sea and the ocean, and then we also have the surface. It's like the surface, like this, but it's still the sea. So it's still the ocean. And I see it the same way. So when you say frequencies, that's correct. But it's also, when I see the divine, it's like it could be the same, really. It's like a fully structure. That's no structure. It's like when you talk about the stem cell, the first cell that's not different. It's not a skin cell. It's a cell that could develop into
Into
all the
anything.
others.
Yeah.
I see the divine. It's divine is like that. So when you come deep into that, you end up there. But from that, everything can happen. Everything can uh, blossom out from that. And in that way, it's even the finest, really like angel energy. It's like a butterfly energy, but just even really gentle. It's still the divine. It's just another a part of the ocean, the layer of the ocean. So yes, of course, somehow we all are one. We all are all connected in the same divine structure, which is not really a structure. For me, it's more like a fluid way of
Energy, right? It's energy,
yeah,
right? I
yeah,
mean,
but another kind of energy than the one you have from the normal energy. It's emotionally energy. It's
mm,
consciousness. It's an energy with many more dimensions. So it's not like energy that you have in your wire. It's more like emotional energy connected in consciousness, connected with something that could create a physical form if it's necessary, but it could also be a energy form that's a structure as yeah, an elf or
right.
angel.
Yeah.
So it's I see it more like an ultimate divine structure of emotion, consciousness, and it's creative. And it comes from that.
Yeah.
And everything comes from that.
Meaning other dimensions, angels,
Yes, yes,
you know, I personally think that there are a plethora of other species out there in the
yes.
universe that also come from this divine. And I think that we
Mm.
are eventually going to come to find that we are very much a part of something much bigger. And it is still very much connected.
Yes, it's many that works with past lives. Sometimes you also connect to past lives from other planets or other dimensions. So many of my students, when I work with them in past lives, we end up in different dimensions or we end up in other planets because your soul can travel in different dimensions and in different galaxies. That's no problem. Our lineage is connected to Earth. So, in that way, when we talk about our ancestors, then you have the genes from them, but their soul could also have been around. So, your soul and your genes are connected with each other when you are connected with this physical body. Then you're connected with your ancestors as well. But your soul can travel around everywhere.
You know, I could talk to you for hours because there's other things. There's so many things we could get into. Like I'm interested in. I've started to learn a little bit about soul retrieval,
Yes,
and pulling back pieces of yourself from other
yes.
lifetimes that are going to help you heal. Like I find that fascinating. And when
Yeah.
we talk about healing, we should end on talking about your book, actually, Your Soul, Your
Oh yeah,
Life.
that's
You
right.
know, we
Yes.
should definitely end on that. Um, but you are ultimately a powerful healer,
Mm.
my friend. And the more I learn about the power of soul retrieval, energy healing, it
Yeah.
really um, it makes a lot more sense to me why we have so much illness and what
Mm.
the true resolve is not really so much Western medicine, but it does have a lot more to do with past lives, with soul retrieval, with spiritual attachments. I feel like some of these ailments that people are suffering from could very much be resolved in these kind of magical, mystical ways that are not mainstream at all.
Yeah, and I would say as Your Soul, Your Life, my book, Your Soul, Your Life, I have chapters with epigenetic healing where it's the ancestor and the lineage is helping. And I also have a chapter on the karmic healing processes as well. Because even though we talk about trauma, there's also a lot of good things from your lineage and also from the past lives. So when you heal up the trauma, you access that's the soul retrieval. You access the soul, and you can integrate the soul here in your life, and you start to live it out even more. Instead of the trauma, instead of the adaptation from others, you just start to be yourself and be your soul, and your soul can have, you know, foot on earth, and that is actually very, very important. So please continue with that thought, Christy, because that's a very good one. And then we can have another talk about that as well.
Yes. Yes, and we shall. I like I said, I could talk to you forever. I have so many questions. It's fascinating. I'd love to ask you about what it's like to go to a psychic medium school. Like, what do you learn in a psychic
Yeah.
medium school? I never even really heard of that. Like, there's just so many things. It's fascinating. I'm hoping that I'm working on decalcifying my pineal gland, because like when I close my eyes I see black, and from what I understand, other people close their eyes and they see like colors or flashes or kaleidoscopes or whatever, and I'm like, oh, I don't see anything.
I would say the first many months I made that. I was just sitting. It's like every time I close my eyes and connect it to, my light should go in one with the big light.
Yeah.
All the other ones was seeing light. I was sitting in dark for months, just
Oh,
sitting there. But what I found out was because I was so sensitive and sensed a lot of information all the time, they just, Marsha, you have to be quiet. Just sense quietness before you get any more information at all. Just sit in the dark and be quiet. Because I was so getting so many informations all the time. And I couldn't feel myself and I couldn't feel the spirit world because there was so much chaos. So they not closed down. I was just sitting in a dark room for months when I was trying to, sit and connect. So I sit and connected, but there was dark. So even though you see dark when you close your eyes and you try to train your third eye, just be patient and love the quietness and the darkness. Not so much to, think about or experience, just be.
I'm working on it. I am hoping to develop more spidey senses and kind of use my own internal navigation system to experience my life better with more um, divine direction, if you will.
Yeah, yeah,
So I'm working on stuff like that, but I'm definitely sensing energy around me more, and I'm hoping to develop as I go. And if I can, like, go to a psychic medium school to help me explore, I
yeah,
would be
yeah,
open to that, because I think everybody has different levels of gifts. So I think you would be
yeah.
much more powerful than I would, because I wasn't born with anything. But like maybe if I
Yeah.
work on
I
it,
wouldn't, you shouldn't say it, you just haven't used them yet. So
uh,
you have, and you have, when you start to use your skills, you will find out that you have used them all the time. So yeah, it's I love this part. I love this part where my students start to experience the sense or the abilities and wake up with them, and just like, okay, what to do. So you're on a good path there, Christian.
I mean, I do experience number synchronicity a lot. Like
Yeah.
last night, I woke
Mm,
up at 4:44. When I go through my day and I'm looking at the clock, like I had
mm,
just looked at it 30 seconds ago, and my timer said 11111. And I'm
yeah.
constantly seeing 1, 2, 3, 4, or what, like numbers galore. So, because I'm always trying to tap into my more energy side, spirit side. Anyways, we will have to put that on the shelf. We are over our time. You were in Berlin. You are promoting your new book. I am going to put your book in the show notes. Pick up her book. It is all about healing, self healing. You are a light, my friend. I wish you well. I hear you're going to be in LA in February, and you and I will definitely have to hook up then.
We will so much hook up, and yeah. And I will have the workshop there. That's inner child work, but it's also to connect with the sensory system and the spirit world to sense the healing energy. So that was a lot of different things, and the lecture about epigenetic healing and ancestors. So you can train a little on your
I
on
will.
your
I will be.
abilities there.
Yes, I will. I will see you there. I will take your
Yeah.
workshops. I will get on board. Um, with that, ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna say goodbye to Marzcia. We're gonna let her continue her book tour, and we will see you next week on Fate from Atheism to Enlightenment. Journey well, everyone. Thanks, Marzcia. See you soon.
Thank you very much. Yeah. See
Bye.
you.
Bye, guys. Alrighty, guys. That is a wrap on this episode of Fate from Atheism to Enlightenment. Thank you, Marzcia Techau, for coming on the show again. She is a powerful psychic medium, healer. I'm going to put her book in the show notes. It is Your Soul, Your Life, a guide to healing and self healing. She really is magical. And I thought it was such an interesting episode. I am absolutely fascinated with anybody who has any type of gifts, whether they channel, whether they're a healer, whether they can read your destiny, whatever that extra sensory perception that other people have. Um, I want it. And I am kind of working towards it. I'm working on decalcifying my pineal gland and trying to sit more in silence and tapping into energy that exists around me. Like I'm definitely feeling energies differently than I ever have before in my life. And I do think that has a lot to do with me doing like some hypnosis tapes, like the Gateway Experience. If you don't know what the Gateway Experience is, it's Robert Monroe. There's a Monroe Institute out there, and it's basically a hypnosis program that helps you astral project out of your body and have communications with other dimensions. I don't do it regularly, and I haven't gotten all the way through the tapes, and it's something that I do sporadically based on how much time I have. But I have noticed that since I have been doing these tapes, that I am picking up on energy around me that I didn't before. And the only thing I can think of is that it does have this weird hemi-sync um, music that allow your both sides of your brains to communicate more cohesively. And I think that does open up extra sensory perception of things around in your environment. So I'm trying to hook in to that part of myself. I think we all have it to some degree or another. I think it all really depends on how much you focus on it and how much you develop it as to how much you're going to be able to perceive it. Obviously, people that have had near death experiences, so many of them come back with gifts that they can't explain after tapping into a higher realm or another dimension or whatever you want to say that is. So I think it's all something we're capable of doing. I just think some were born gifted with that capacity, maybe even more than they wanted it to be there. It sounds like Marzcia struggled a little bit when she was younger because she had an overwhelming amount of energetic field that she was interpreting um, in her body and her world. So I don't know. I'm going to tiptoe in that direction and see if I can't awaken something or start to hone my skills so I can interpret more of the world that is there. So that's what I'm going to do. I hope you enjoyed this episode. She is a light worker. I'm going to see her in February when she comes to the Living Consciously Expo that they have every year in Los Angeles in February. I've been volunteering at it for the last couple of years, and she gave me kind of a good idea. She said, "Why don't you interview people there and like do a booth and talk to people?" And I thought to myself, "Oh wow, that is really an interesting idea that I could just set up a booth and come and talk to the a lot of the guests there. I would love to do a podcast from the Living Expo show." So I'm going to investigate that, see what that would entail. And I don't know, maybe I'll be announcing a booth at the Living Expo in February next year so I can interview some of the amazing speakers that they have there. They have some of the most talented healers, mediums, channelers, ufologists. So it's a fun time, certainly is. All right, guys. Well, if you want to follow the show, I'm on Instagram at F.A.T.E podcast. If you like what I'm doing here, do me a favor, like, subscribe, share, buy my book. My book is in the show notes. It's about my dogs, Mr. Pickles and Maggie. My beloved little boy, Mr. Pickles, had braces on his legs, and Maggie helps get him back on his feet. And it's a great little book about stick-to-itiveness and friendships. And buy my book. It's adorable. Little something. Show me a little love. Anyways, gang, welcome to your fate, y'all. I'll see you next week. Journey well. Bye.